Now for the next step in our chicken challenge is the tasting. Fun for you, you get to watch me eat. First we're going to taste the chicken that we got from the supermarket, the factory farm chicken, the one that honestly I normally get when I go to the grocery store. I'm going to give that a taste. And it tastes good. It tastes like every chicken breast you've ever tasted. It's fairly bland. We do have some seasoning with the salt and pepper, but I wanted the flavor of the chicken to really come through, and there's really not much to it. So now I'm going to taste the chicken from the higher end store, the Family Farm chicken. And honestly, I have never bought a chicken that cost $17 before, so this is my first time tasting a $17 hormone-free, free-range chicken. Let's see what that tastes like. It's really good. There's definitely more flavor. There's a richer taste to it. It's not bland at all. Even with minimal seasoning, there's a more pronounced taste to it. It's also moist, just as the chicken from the supermarket was moist. But you know, you also have to remember the chicken that we got from the supermarket, the factory farm chicken, was injected with a broth solution to help it be moist. This chicken that got to run around in the field and peck and scratch doesn't have that added broth, but it's still quite moist. You just can't cook it to death. You can't cook it as long as you would cook even a chicken breast of the same size. But you still, of course, want to cook it to well done, and I think it tastes great. But the choice is going to be yours at $4.93 for a chicken versus $17.19 for a chicken. It's a big cost difference. There are health differences that you may prefer one chicken versus another, but that's really up to you. So give it a try. Okay, everybody, it's time for our final step in the chicken comparison. And the last thing we did with the chicken was fry it. Because let's face it, everybody loves fried chicken. So we treated them both the same. We seasoned the chicken, and then we shook both pieces of chicken in seasoned flour, took it out, let it sit for 10 minutes, then put it back into seasoned flour, shook it again, and then fried it in oil. This is the chicken from the Family Farm from the high-end grocery store. And this is the chicken from the factory farm, from the supermarket. And you can notice a difference in this texture of the skin, as there's always been a difference in the texture of the skin. This one was always smoother, and it's still smoother to begin with. It was very dry when we started because there was not a lot of moisture on the chicken, and so we shook it in flour twice. But it's got a very thin coating of flour. The chicken from the supermarket, the factory farm chicken, always was more moist. Even though we patted the skin dry to remove excess moisture, it still just retained a lot of moisture, which held on to more flour. And you can see that there's just a little slightly thicker coating of flour on this chicken thigh. So the next thing we're going to do is cut it open. See what it looks like on the inside. There's our Family Farm chicken from the high-end grocery store. It looks good to me. And this is the Factory Farm chicken from the supermarket. And if you look inside, the chicken from the Family Farm is a bit darker. The meat is darker. The meat from the chicken from the Factory Farm is a bit more pale. Both crispy, But I think the skin from the family farm chicken is a little bit more crisp, has held on to its crispness more so than the one from the factory farm. And now for the final step, my favorite part, the tasting, and lucky you, you get to watch me eat again. I'm going to start with the chicken from the family farm that we bought at the higher end market. It looks nice and moist. Let's see how it tastes. It's really tasty. It's a richer flavor than I'm used to, but really delicious. Slightly drier than I'm used to, but again, it wasn't injected with any broth. So it probably requires a little bit less cooking time than you normally would fry chicken. And now, for the supermarket chicken. It's definitely saltier. Even though I season them the same, at the same time, this chicken from the factory farm is definitely saltier. It is moist. It has the added broth, so it does retain some of that moisture. It tastes good, but it is a bit blander than the chicken that we got from the family farm. So, what's the difference between a $4.93 chicken and a $17.19 chicken? Richer flavor, more juicy. The choice is yours.